Hey, so you've probably seen a few people use some of these boxes in different ways than there should be, like making them sound more like drum machines than actual synthesizers. Now, I do like mucking around in this regard, and I really enjoy my monologue over there, so I thought I'll make a tutorial series about how to get some really sweet drum tones out of that thing. So let's have a look at a machine that does do percussion synthesis really well. So here we have my drum brute, which is a great machine, I really do enjoy it. But each of the voicing is sort of like a combination of different oscillators, different noise types, and lots of different ways of modulating that sound. Like we have the kick itself, which is pretty much a sine wave oscillator. We have like decay, which is hooked up to an envelope. We can control the pitch, we can control how loud it is, and then we can change its color, which gives the pitch a different way of augmenting the sound. Then we have our snare groups, which are a combination of oscillator type and a noise channel, so it's sort of a blend between the two, and you can control that by the tone and snap. And there's a bunch of envelopes controlling this one, and then we've got like deep tom hits and then cymbals and all that. So really we're looking at ways of creating multiple envelopes so we can control different things that are happening with the sound really quickly. And I want to go through the monologue because I think it handles that really well. So first things first, we're going to choose an initialized patch. Cool. Next, we're going to work through from right to left. So what I first like to do is have a triangle wave, leave the shape, and then we're going to have a noise as well. So these will be our two main percussive sounds. Then we'll open up both VCOs so we can hear both of them going off at once. And we don't need to touch any of those other settings till later. Next, we're going to focus on the cutoff. Now we can use the cutoff as a way to sculpt the noise itself. Add some different flavor with the resonance, but we're going to be using that as a way to create our snare sound. So the next part, we're going to use the first LFO to control the pitch, because we have a bit more control here. So what we want is set it to a single shot. We're going to have really sharp attack and decay, and we want to have the amount really high up, and then we're going to use it to control pitch. Now if I hit a key, we got our kick sound. We can make it a bit tight, we can drop it. Cool. Now with the LFO we have a sneaky way we can turn this into a second envelope. Now we want to set it to one shot, and then we can use any one of these, but I usually stick with a saw wave because it's a nice envelope down because we want short percussive sounds. And then we use the rate to control how fast it is, so right down to start with, give a bit of in, and then we're using that to control the cutoff. Now we want to drop the cutoff. And then we can sculpt that snare sound if we want. So I just turn that one down for a sec. Cool, we'll bring both parts up. So we have a drum. Oops. We have our drum. And then if we turn on that, we have our snare. So using these two elements, we're going to use the sequencer to create a bit of a drum pattern. Now we go into motion recording, and then first off we're going to have this so we can control the level. So the way we want to have it is we hold down a key, and then we bring up the volume on that section. Because what that allows us is every section that isn't affected by the motion sequence will still go by the potentiometer. So if I do that, go back into note, and we're just going to put in 4. Then hit play. They're both playing at once. And then we can bring it up a bit. Cool. So that's the basic premise for the drum machine. So taking that basic patch idea, we can look at things like making different elements that are percussive, like say hi-hats. We could have a higher cutoff, so they're a little bit higher pitch, and then we can give them shorter envelopes to add a bit more snappier things. We can create open hats by opening up, but I've just gone through and expanded this a bit more. So we got some other bits going on, and then we can go through and just start mucking around. So yeah, it's a pretty versatile machine that we can use like that. So the next part I wanted to talk about is, say you worked in a bass patch into the monologue and you wanted to add those sort of drum percussive elements in there. So I've just set up a basic bass line. And then what we can do is start using some of those ideas to bring in other elements. So I left motion recording empty. So one thing, instead of leaving it on noise and then modulating the mixer, what we can do is actually modulate this switch so we can still keep that bass note going. So what I'm going to do, hold that one down, and we'll add another one there. So if we play that again. So there we have a little percussive noise, and then we can add some like drops as well. I haven't really done much with the LFO here, so I'm going to set up one of those triggers for creating a secondary envelope, and then we're going to have that control the pitch. And then I'm going to have that turned there, and then we're going to modulate this one, bringing this one in and out. So the amount, hold this down, so I'm going to bring that up. Oops. I'll clear that in a sec. And then to clear, we can go edit, we'll go sequence, so hit it again, go over to here, and then we're going to go into LFO rate, clear, by just turning the program bow, then we write that in. So if we exit that and then play. Cool, so we've got a bass line, we've got some percussive elements in there, and then what we can do is go into sequence, and then if we hit this button here, it allows us to turn elements on and off. So if I start again, I can take out the clicks. Now if I hit that button again, I can take out the drums as well, and the Well, I hope that's given you a bit of food for thought on how you can use these machines, because really this was just a muck around and different way of using them. However, I have used these to make some really cool tracks and sampling those sounds. So it's an incredibly versatile way of making different noises with these machines. So I'm going to put a link in below, and yeah, feel free to download them, have a muck around, see what you can do, and hopefully you get inspired to make something yourself. Now, this was going to have some extra content in there, but I'm going to be putting that into a later video just because of how long it was. And yeah, so we'll see what next week's bring, and I'll see you next time.